Hey guys, welcome back to another video in C programming course. Myself, I'm Anand Samanan and I'm a campus head co course. So today we're going to discuss the continuation part for the Tic-Tac-Toe game. So what we have discussed in our previous video. So the same thing we're going to continue in this video as well. So whatever we have stopped in our previous class, so that we're going to continue in this class. So let's get started with this. Equal to 2 here, and then square of 3 here is not equal to 3, and square of 4 here not equals to 4, square of 5 here not equals to 5, square of 6 is not equals to 6, square of 7 is not equal to 7, square of 8 not equals to 8, and square of 9 not equals to 9. So now we going to return value equals to 0 here. Else finally we have else block. If none of these above conditions are true, then we're going to print the return value as 0. Sorry, minus 1. And then finally, after the else block, we're going to return value. We're going to return value. That going to be, yeah. So actually here we have given the condition, right? So we have returning actually 0 here. So why we actually returning 0? To get the game is over and no result. For the no result, we going to give uh, on this way. And for minus 1, what is this condition for game is in progress. So that's what we have given these conditions here. So this is what we have given here. So now actually if you haven't understood any of these particular conditions, what I want to ask is, that's what I'm saying. So what is square of 1? So square of 1 is 1. So actually it's not about this particular array. When we actually run the code, everything value is going to be changed, right? So at the time, what is the square of 1? I mean, when we actually mark that particular board, then square of 1 going to be the x, or some going to be 1 be going to be 0, or something else going to be, sorry, x of 1 going to be either x or O going to be going to be make it as a O or X, right? 1 or 2. So at the time when you actually just these conditions, so that we're going to get this result as 0. At the time it's not going to be equal, right? So that's what we're actually checking here. In our board, we have 1 to 9 numbers. For example, player 1 has entered 2. Player 1 has entered means, so 2 going to replace by x, right? So at the time when we actually this particular checking this particular 2 is not equal to 2 or means, then that going to be true, right? That going to be true, absolutely true, because the 2, when it comes to our output screen, the 2 going to be replaced by x, right? Isn't it? When we actually the player 1 enters a 2, that going to be replaced by x. So at the time when we actually check this particular condition, it's going to be false. I mean, it's going to be the true, so that going to be the condition going to be true, and we're going to get this output, right? So that's what we're actually looking here. So when you actually didn't understand, even if I said it right now, so that's what I'm saying. Just take the pen and paper and then try to go this step by step in using a pen and paper, so that's going to be like more get a clear idea for you as well. So that's what I'm asking you to do. So here what I'm going to do, here I'm going to display the board. So I'm going to write a function to draw board of tic-tac-toe with AS mark. Yes. So here that's what we're actually doing here. So this is what function is. So what else let me yeah, I'm going to get into this. So yeah. So this is what the function is. So now we going to what exactly the function does and everything we're going to implement here. So this is what the function is, the display board. So we're going to mention here. I'm going to remove the semicolon and then I'm going to open and close curly. Within this, I'm going to mention what exactly the function does and everything. So let me printf here, backward slash n for getting in a new line. And I'm going to give one more backward slash, so you're going to get in two lines. So that's what I'm doing here. And then one backward slash t. So what is t does is it's a tab. You're going to give a tab space between the output screen, like the left hand side. We're going to get this from a tab space, like how we actually having here when we actually have this cursor in this pen. When we actually click on this tab here button, then the cursor going to move in this particular area, right? So it's going to space gives us some space. So that's what we are doing with backward slash t. So it's going to give tab space between the line of like the line of the output screen, the outline of the output screen. So here we're going to print as tic tac toe, and then backward slash in, backward slash in. Okay. So here this is what we have given, and then I'm going to print player one as x here, player two as O here. So that's what we're doing here. We're printing the same thing, and then here backward slash n, backward slash n, backward slash n. So we are giving three lines, so gap. So that could be made more readable for the user. So here I'm going to give a printf function here. I'm going to print a function. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to give a space here, and then this or symbol. We have the singular, and then one more, and then backward slash n. And then I'm going to give space here, percentage C here. So now again we're going to here type the percentage D, one more percentage D. And before that, I'm going to give one more or we can call it as a or vertical bar anyway, either way. Um, and then vertical bar, one more vertical bar, and then percentage D here, and then backward slash n. After that, I'm going to square of 1. I'm going to print the square of 1, so that we're going to get this particular data, the square of 1, in the sense like we're going to print as 1. Yeah. And now in the same way we're going to print it out, all the values as well, other values as well. Actually we are printing the three characters, right, in the single line. So square 2, square of 3 here, and then one more printf for getting these lines. When we actually run the code, particular code, we getting the lines, right, the vertical lines and horizontal lines. So that we are trying to do the same thing. We are trying to draw the same thing structure. So here what I'm going to do, I'm going to get the lines here, underscores, and then vertical bar, underscores, vertical bar, underscores, again have 3 or something. Anyways, it's fine. We can change it accordingly later. So if you need any more, printf again. I'm going to get this the same thing because I don't want to. write it again. I'm going to be a bit lazy here to write it again the same drawing pad. So yeah, here I'm going to print out. So I'm going to get this particular line and then yeah. So we have this particular line and then now I'm going to change the values here, like 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to change it as 4, 5, 6. So and then now what I'm going to do here is again I'm going to print the same lines here. Mhm. And then next I'm going to print it out again this thing. So here I'm again printing it out. So now what I'm going to do is here I'm going to change the values again. So the like now what the next coming values are. After 6 we're going to have 7, 8, 9. So in this way we're going to do. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to print it out this thing again. We have this thing. So here I'm going to have one more backward slash in for one more new line. So we're actually giving two lines. We're taking two lines of gap, and then so this is what we have done here. So now before that, before going to further, let me actually run this particular function. Let me call this particular function, and then let's see what actually happened and everything, so that you're going to get some clarity. What is happening here? So yeah, there's been some typo error. Yeah, and here as well some typo. Yeah. So guys, actually before going to further, let's run this display board function so that we'll get some idea like how it exactly working and everything. So let me run the code first here. So yeah, so we getting the output as it's like it's getting good. So that's what we are actually expecting here. So we got the output as the same way. So yeah, so we got the output as in a similar pattern. So yeah, so this is what we're actually expecting here, but it's not actually taking any user and everything. But we want first actually we have done it in this way. As I said you earlier, so here we're actually using this backward slash t here, so that we are getting this tab space here. So that's what we're actually using here. So that's what I said. And for double slash n, so we got double line, double new line. So that's what we are actually getting. So that's what we are using. So now let's move on to one more function, that is we have done this check for win display board and then mark board. So let's implement the mark board as well. So we'll implement mark board. So before that, let's write what exactly the function does and everything. So let's write that as well. Set the board with the correct character. Correct the character. So set the board with the correct character. So and then X O the correct spot in the array. In the array. So that's what we're actually doing here. So let's implement this function here. I'm going to do this semicolon here. Yeah, I'm going to give a conditions here again. The if condition, like if choice equals to 1 and square of 1 equals to 1 here. And then else if else if choice equals to Amazon square 2 equals to 2 here. And if everything is fine, then we're going to mark it as square 2 equals to mark here. And here actually even we can write in this pattern as well, but here we are actually giving the open and close curly bracket. Within this we are writing, right, the same way here. Even in this way here we can also give, we can also without open and close curly bracket, so we can write it, but we need to follow this indentation here. I mean, the we have to give at least the tab space here, so that it's going to be, that is what the indentation is. So we have to follow the indentation and then we can write. But if you write in this way, then you have to, if you want to include in that particular condition, then you have to write only in a single line. But if you write multiple lines, like again the one more square 2 is equals to mark as well, then it's not going to execute. It's not going to be come inside this if condition. It's not come inside this if block. It's going to be something like outside the if block. If either the if condition is true or false, it's not about if condition. Every time it's going to execute this particular line. So that's what it is. But when it comes to this particular line, only execute if this condition is true. But when it comes to else if block, here we have used that open and close curly bracket. So within an open and close bracket, you can write hundred of lines of code, hundred lines of code. Everything going to execute within this open and close curly bracket. So that's what it is. But that's the reason we are using open and close curly bracket. If you have a multiple length of code in that particular block, then you can use this open and close curly bracket. If you have like single line, then you can use this in this pattern. Either way it works, but the difference is that's what I have said it right now. But it's only going to execute. It's only going to come inside. If you want to come inside this if block, then you have to mention only one only one expression. Then it's going to come inside this particular if block. But when it comes to here, if you have a multiple lines of code or hundreds of lines of code, then everything going to be execute if this condition is true. So that's what it is. The difference between the with writing inside the open and close curly bracket and outside the open like it. So that's what it is. So now I have copied and pasted other rest of the things up to 9 here. So now we done this else if block. Now I'm going to type the else block here. If none of the above conditions are true, then we're going to print this else block like invalid, invalid boom. We're going to print it as, then let's say, and then player minus minus. So we're also going to change the player as well. So that's what we have done here. Now, so we are outside of this else block as well. So yeah, we done with this thing. So now we are outside this. We have implemented all these functions. So now let's move on to the main function. We're going to make all the uses of all these functions. Let's write the main function as well. So all the functions, like whatever we have initialized right now, like whatever we have declared, and what the function does and everything, we have implemented it, right? So we're going to use all the functions. We're going to call all the functions inside the main function. So we already having the display function, display board here, the main inside the main function, and let it be there. And I'm going to here, I'm going to declare few variables. Game status first here, and then character mark at the mark, and then player. I'm going to set it as 1 here. We already declared the player here in the outside is a global variable, so we don't need to declare it again. So I'm just initializing it as a 1 here, and here I'm going to use this do while loop. So we already discussed how it exactly works and everything. If you haven't checked that video, please do check that video and then come back here. So now here inside the do here, I'm going to display this function. Like first it has to display it, and then we're going to give while condition that going to be checking. First it has to display the entire board, and then it's going to check the condition. So that's what we're actually doing here. So here we have given this display board here, and then now what I'm going to do, I'm going to give a condition for change turns here. like the player ones and player two, between the player and player one and player two, that we have to change the turns, right? So that's what we're actually doing. And here, that what we're actually doing here, as by giving a ternary operator, by using a ternary operator. So that's going to be very simple. We can actually write it in a single line. So that's the reason I'm just using a ternary operator. Player percentage do two. I mean, it means dividing by two, and then it will taking the output as the reminder. The modulo operator does is like the reminder, the percentage. Percentage is nothing but the modulo. Modulo going to do the get the percentage of the division of the two values, and then we're going to give this is a question mark. It's nothing but if condition here. So one, if this particular state condition is true, then we're going to print as one. Else two. Else two. And now we're going to commenting out, and then I'm going to get input here. So within it, I'm going to print player percentage D and enter a number. And enter a number here. And then we are taking it like we are giving the scanner function to take the value of the user, which are the input the user enters, like what we are going to do. So actually we are player one percentage so that it will keep on seeing the player side. So that's what we are actually giving here. So that if the player one turns, then player one going to print, player two turn, player going to go will be do. So that's what we're actually doing here. So now let's take the input from the user percentage D here, and then we'll store it inside the choice here. So the choice variable that we already declared in globally here. So this is a choice variable, so that we already declared in globally. So now I'm going to set the it's a good practice to actually use this command so that you're going to get more idea, and then even when you actually look back to your code like after like a long time, then it's going to be easy to understand what exactly the code is this and everything. So that's the reason we have to mention the comments. That would be very awesome. Character based on player can, and then player equals to one. So now we're going to set the board based on user choice or invalid choice. So at the time we going to now the set the board based on the user choice or invalid choice. So based upon that we going to say mark the table, mark the board. So we're going to use a mark board function, D function. So here, and then I'm going to pass that mark. So what are the character that user enters, that we actually going to mark the particular thing. So that's what we have given the mark here. So if the player one is one, then we're going to mark it as X. If the player two is like player two, then we're going to mark it as O. So that's what we're actually mentioning in the mark. So and then we are just passing the mark as a. So here now the game, now we're going to again the game status going to be game status going to be check for check for win check for win, and then the player going to be again player going to be increment. It's going to check for play winner. So we actually implement the check for winner if the any of this particular one or minus one or zero. Based upon that, the game state is going to be change it. And then once the game status is going to be changed, even this here also is going to increment the player. So when it the player one turns, it's going to be increment to player is going to be two, so that when we actually run it, so it's going to display as a player two here. So that's what I actually mentioning here. Yeah. So here when it actually going to be player two going to be incremented, so that player going to be the two, so it's going to be printed as two here. So that's what you're actually giving here. So now we came out of this do loop. So we actually mentioning condition inside the while here, while game status equals to minus one. So until game minus one, like condition is true, like this particular minus one is true. So then at the time the this do and while loop going to be ending. So if the game state is minus one, then for game is in progress, then it's going to be ended particular in the particular time. So now we going to mention here if game status equals to one here, at that time I'm going to print it out like equals to here equals to and then right arrow, and then here what I'm going to do is game draw, and then backward slash and backward slash, and then sorry, actually we have to mention this will actually come not this thing, so sorry. Yeah, so here we actually have to mention the player win, because if one is for one is a game over with a result, right? So we have to mention this player one statement here, like we have to print the statement. So equals to then player one player, and then percentage based upon the player one or player two, that could be printed here. Player if it is a player one, then player one win, and backward slash n, and then we going to print minus minus player. So now we're going to use this else block, and we're going to print it as a player draw, and then the return zero we have. So this is what we're going to do here. So if the player one equals to one, the game set is equal one, then we're going to set it as that player equals to winner, not player winner, whether it is a player one or player two, that's going to be the player going to be the winner. So and also we actually giving this minus minus before player. Actually, before that we have till now we have discussed that player plus plus or player minus minus, right? But what is the difference between this adding before variable and adding it out after the variable? So what is the difference? Main difference is here. So if you add this minus minus or plus plus after the variable name, then actually this particular condition, like it's going to percentage d, right? So it's going to print it out first, the whether it's player one or player two. Just forgot about this minus minus. So it actually going to print out if it is, for example, assume that player equals to 2. So after the while, like when we actually run this particular code, the player equals to 2. Assume that player is equal to 2. We are actually not running player is not equal to 2, but we actually assume it player is equal to 2. For suppose player is equal to 2, so then it actually going to print out this particular statement, player to win. They're going to print it. They're going to print out, and then it going to increment the player or decrement the player. If it is a minus minus, then we're going to decrement. First it's going to print and then it's going to decrement. But when you actually add before the variable, what is actually going to happen is first it's going to decrement if we add minus minus or plus plus. If it is plus plus, if first it's going to increment, and then first it's going to execute this plus plus. It means it's going to increment, and then it's going to display in an output. But if it is either plus plus or minus minus, based upon the our operators, it's going to execute in that manner. it's going to first increment or decrement, whatever it may be. It's going to increment or decrement, then it's going to print it out. But when you add minus minus or plus plus after the variable name, then variable name going to print out, and then it's going to increment or decrement going to happen. So that's what it is. So that's what it happens here. So now that's what it happens. So now let's run the code here and check output whether what's happening exactly. So now it's printing the tic-tac-toe and player X and player 0, and we are printing the display 1 to 9. So now what I'm going to do is here the player 1 turns. So now player 1 turns is uh, so here I'm going to give the player 1's chances. Uh, like for example 1 here, and now we got the player 1, we enter 1 and going to replace by X here. But actually we are getting that we are printing one more displaying, right? So actually that we should not get. When it comes to previously, when I beginning itself, I have when I've shown you, we are not getting this multiple times. And even this when I type 9, I'm going to print one more time. So and even this also we're going to get one more time, like here when it actually enters 9, it's going to replace O, and we're printing it one more time. And 6 here I have entered, I'm going to replacing. And then now player 2 turns, that is Z3, and the player 4, player 1 here 4 I have entered, and again player 2 turns, that is I'm going to enter 2, and then player 1 turns, that is 7. So we are printing as player 1 is winner. So but one more thing we need to fix here, that is one more bug we have to fix, is that is actually here we actually printing multiple times whenever we enter, we again it's going to displaying. So that we should not happen here. We have to refresh our screen, and then it should print it in the same place, right? So when actually shown in the beginning itself, that's what happened, right? So what I'm going to do is, in this particular display board function, I'm going to add beginning itself, I'm going to add one more inbuilt function, that is system system ls system clear. So when I add this particular code here, this particular function here, so now let's run this X here. So now see, it's not even getting. So yeah, even I'm going to backward and backward, so it's not even, there is nothing here. I just refreshing it. So if you observe it carefully, within a fraction of seconds it's actually refreshing it. So let me run, see. So it's detected, yeah, it's happening. And then yeah, so see it's actually doing, it's actually refreshing it. So let's see. So see, actually refreshing it. So yeah, so we got the output as player 1 is winner, and even we not even get any kind of multiple times, not even printing out. So that's what it's with the help of this clear screen function, we can actually able to clear our screen every time whenever we can actually call this particular display board function. Within from this main function, we're actually calling it every time, right? So that's what we're actually doing here, with the display board function as well. So so this is an inbuilt function. So we're actually getting from that from our inbuilt header files, so that we already declared in our beginning of the code. So that's what, from there we actually getting this function. So that's all about tic-tac-toe game, guys. So the link in the description, please do check that. If you face any kind of difficulty in the coding and everything, if you I'm going to link into this your YouTube description. You can check it in the description part, where you can find a link to this particular code. So you may check that code and then utilize that code. So that's what I want to say. And yeah, links are in the description, you please check that. So that's all about today's class, guys. And also, if you face any kind of this kind of difficulties in with a particular condition, what exactly difficulty is this particular condition does and everything, that's what from the beginning of the set, I'm just what I'm saying here. Just take pen and paper, using a pen and paper, and write in a step by step whatever we have discussed here. So what is choice? So choice is going to be the 7. So write the 7 and then it will be 7 equals to 6. Then whether it is true or false, that write it on a paper and paper. Doing that way, trace the code each and every line using the pen and paper. So that's going to be help you to actually analyze and what exactly the code is does and everything. That going to be helpful for you as well, to understand, for better understand. So that's what I want to say you. Uh, so let me actually. So that's what actually over today's class. So so let's. So thank you for joining, guys. So that's all about today's, guys. So let's meet on another day. So with a new topic. So that's all about tic tac toe game. So I hope you enjoyed the class. So thank you.